The real question is, how do we evolve to be better versions of ourselves?
I know how precious life is now.
We have a real responsibility to think about what can we do to make life easier for the next generation.
Welcome to the edge of nowhere, where we delve into the black hole of our reality.
Today on the edge of nowhere, we're going to be discussing human augmentation, cybergenics, and even eugenics. And what are some of the questions, some of the ethical concerns around saying when you become partially or completely mechanized, or even potentially before you're born, what are the rights attributed to you if you start altering your DNA? Earlier this year, I co-authored a book called The Future Starts Now. In this book, I wrote a chapter called Homo augeritus, taken from the Latin word to augment. In this chapter, I postulate in the world we're going to right now that is right on the very edge of nowhere. I spoke about what does it mean when we start to become augmented around different components, whether it's machinery or around a DNA position. Now in 2019, we passed an absolute tipping point. That was where a professor called Professor Hugh took the DNA of two girls and he used a technique called CRISPR. He took a set of twins and essentially their mom had HIV and he eliminated the HIV gene from their DNA. What that means is not only are they unable to catch HIV, but also subsequent to these two twins, no one else in their family genealogy and from their children, their grandchildren, so on and so forth, will ever be able to get HIV. They've essentially eliminated that. That set a seminal part because why? Because now we've passed a tipping point, both from an ethical as well as moral perspective of saying, oh, what should we and what should we not do?
Stan, have you noticed that the kids are acting strange?
Probably because I altered their DNA, so they're more like me.
The essence of CRISPR is simple. It's a way of finding a specific bit of DNA inside a cell. After that, the next step in CRISPR gene editing is usually to alter that piece of DNA.
Two beautiful little Chinese girls came crying into the world as healthy as any other babies.
No babies should be born at this point in time following the use of this technology. It's simply too early, too premature.
A way for scientists to delete or insert specific bits of DNA into cells with incredible precision.
Genetics, what can it mean? The ability to perfect the physical and mental characteristics of every unborn child.
The opportunity to do this kind of genome editing also raises various ethical issues that we have to consider. This is no longer science fiction.
And it's not just about saying, well, what are the rights involved around changing the DNA of your child, but even once you're a fully formed post-birth human being. What are the rights attributable when you start doing human augmentation? We've been doing this for hundreds of years, thousands of years, tens of thousands of years. Think about whether it was the eyeglass or hearing aid or a pacemaker. We've already been augmenting human beings. It's part and parcel of what we do.
Drug the drum kit out. I was like, I'm gonna tape the drumstick to my arm and then start playing and I will never forget that feeling.
The essence of CRISPR is simple. It's a way of finding a specific bit of DNA inside a cell. After that, the next step in CRISPR gene editing is usually to alter that piece of DNA.
The next part of that comes in, and we've already done that, whether it's your cell phone or your smartwatch. But at what point do we cross over into something where we become more machine and less human being?
To some degree, we are already a cyborg.
What does that mean fundamentally for you? What does it mean today as we move on to the edge of nowhere? It means we need to be very, very cautious of what we allow into our lives. Think about Dolly the sheep. Dolly the sheep has now been around for 20, 25 years. It's already been a done deal. And with the advances in science, technology, and medicine, it's no longer a question of could we, it's now a question of should we. And as you'll see through the course of the edge of nowhere, these are some of the questions that we will definitely have to dig deeper into.
Goodbye. I will see you online.